7:45 here on your Friday morning wake-up call. Now it's time for Friday at the Fuzz, so I'll hand it over to Mr. Michael Green.
Thank you, Derek. In studio with us today is Elgin's Chief of Police, Jeff Swoboda. Jeff, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me. Happy Friday, everyone.
Happy Friday. I'm sorry I missed out on last week. I understand there were some technical difficulties and we couldn't get the video out there, but I'm sure it was a great show. I'm sorry I missed it. I was looking forward to seeing the video.
It was great.
I think it was highest rated show. I think
it was. Yeah, our highest rated.
I think it was.
It may very well be.
Yes.
So you couldn't get on channel 17 either, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So the people have been.
Contact Jeff and say sorry.
There's too much traffic. Too many people were trying to get onto the video, so
that's right.
So there's just too many people.
We got more security here today.
Yes.
So
we got bouncers out there. All right. So bunch going on. Kind of good. You know, when you walked in, I said, "Man, not a whole lot going on this week." And it was just not a whole lot bad. I tend to focus on the bad. I don't know.
Many people do.
I'm always looking for the big stuff, right? So, but you had a lot. Once we kind of sat down and talked about it, that really went on this week. I mean, walk and talk, cook-off, self-defense class, chiefs meeting, identity theft seminar, a lot going on. Anywhere you want to start.
Wow. Anywhere.
We can talk about what you got going on this weekend. I love this. Partnering with AAA and Dairy Queen in a program called I Got Caught, and it rewards children with a free coupon for Dairy Queen ice cream when spotted wearing a helmet while riding a bicycle, skateboard, scooter, or inline skate. So this is a pet peeve of mine because we made our children, when they were young and still to this day, wear helmets when my son was out on his longboard or if he was riding his bike. And I think we talked about it before. My wife used to work at a camp for children and adults with mental disabilities and physical disabilities, and a lot of these were brain-injured adults. And so maybe it was a little bit more personal to us because we'd seen people who'd been high-functioning members of society for years and decades and had an accident. You got hit by a car, or there was one gentleman, I can remember, Nate, that had been rock climbing, and now he was a quadriplegic, and it was because of an injury that a helmet may have helped prevent. My son hated it. My daughter has not fought it yet at 10, but Jake pretty much from day one, well, nobody else is doing it. Everybody makes fun of me. I'm like, I'd rather them make fun of you and you be safe than, God forbid, something happen.
Yeah, it's a neat program where, like you said, we come across kids that are doing it right and looking after their safety and their parents, and so we stop them and give them a citation, kind of a joke ticket. But that ticket allows them to go to any local Dairy Queen, which in Elgin they're participating, and they get some free ice cream.
That's
so
great.
It does a few things. It reminds them that that's important to have the proper protective gear when they're out on those type of activities. But then also it's a positive interaction between police and the community. So many on the news you only see the negative, and we talk about that. And around here we do a lot of positive, and it does make it out. Whether it's through our Facebook, this show, local press will put out stuff that we're doing positive with the community. So this is just one more attempt where we're trying to make positive inroads with the youth. So it's good. Bill Wolf, I know, even mentioned with his daughters. It's one time, I don't know what they were doing, but he wanted to, hey, let's just ride over here real quick. And they were like, well, wait, we can't. We don't have our helmets. We can't even, they didn't even want to touch their bicycle without their helmet. So they're kids are a lot different, like you said, than when we were kids because, the helmet was, I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right. I don't even, did they make helmets then?
Right. I'm not sure. Right.
I didn't have one. Yeah.
So it's great. So it's a great campaign. We're running with it. And so if you see officers out pulling over kids on bicycles and things, that's what they're doing.
And you talked about it before. You're not going to have an interaction, or it's very rare that you're going to have an interaction with a teen or somebody in their 20s or later and, change the way that they are, but if you hit them early on and you develop a relationship and a rapport and, the attitude toward the police is better from a young age up, probably more positive. So I like you said, positive interactions. I love it.
Well, it's probably like anything, I know with golf or anything, they say before you even pick up a club, if you take a lesson right off the bat, you won't pick up those bad habits. Well, maybe if you start having some positive interactions early on, you don't need to overcome negative interactions. But we make no bones about that. We're the police, and so as being the police, there are things we do that people don't like. We're the ones who do pull you over. We're the ones who do write you tickets. We're the ones, if you drink too much, we arrest you for driving under the influence. We're the ones who show up at your party and tell you to turn down the music. So we don't always, I would say we don't show up at the birthday party when things are going well, right? When everyone is behaving and everybody's having a great time. Hey, let's call the police and just invite them over. It's when things go bad and somebody is fighting or something else is happening. So we get it, and but as part of that, and especially here in Elgin, I'm really proud of the officers who take these type of initiatives on. We recognize that we fail without the community. If we don't have them supporting us and understanding what we're doing, we can't be successful. So it's just one more of just dozens of programs that we have with interaction with the community. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out.
You had a bunch of things going on last weekend and through the week, and I like the self-defense class. I think that's a pretty neat idea, and I know you've done it at least a couple times before, if I'm not mistaken. And,
once before.
Yeah, and sold out. I mean, filled up, I guess, not sold out because it doesn't cost anything. Right. Immediately. I mean, like within a day or two, right?
No, within an hour. Yeah. I think within an hour or two. Yeah, we had 50 spots.
Yeah,
and
I saw some videos you guys put up on Facebook this time. Pretty interesting stuff.
It is. Yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with any of the women. Yeah, they were. Well, starting where Commander Lally and I were talking one time about different things we can do, and one of the things we saw maybe a little bit of a hole in was doing some self-defense, but making it strictly for women so that they don't have to come in and deal with guys or also people. Well, I've been a UFC fighter for a while. I'm going to start the very basics and just say if you're walking out to a parking lot and something happened, here are some basic things you can do. And then we also talk about technology. Jim Bisegli does a nice short segment on some technology that's out there, especially now with smartphones that you can have with you to help you stay protected. Somebody, if your wife is walking from the train to a business or whatever, and she just doesn't feel not feel comfortable. I want you to kind of follow me. You can then follow her through GPS and can even talk to her. She can press an emergency button in which you'll know to contact the police and where she's at. So there's a lot of technology out there. So we kind of start with the basics of how not to be a victim. I know we've talked about this on the show a long time ago, but it probably bears to be repeated. You don't have an obligation to be nice to strangers, right. And that sounds almost kind of counterintuitive.
Well, we talk about that quite a bit with the seniors and people that come to your door, and
exactly
no reason you even have to answer it.
Yes, one of the instructors, actually the lead instructor, Paul Sharp, one of our midnight shift officers, who actually goes all over the country doing a lot of different types of training. But there's a story out there that was actually in a book called The Gift of Fear. But it's a woman coming home from, she's got her groceries, and a guy meets her in the parking lot and says, "Oh, let me help you." And she's like, "No, I got it." He's like, "No, I insist." And so she doesn't want to be too rude, so she lets him help him to the door, and then when they get to the door, he's like, "Well, let me help you get inside the door." And she's like, "No, really, I haven't." He's like, "No, I insist." And said, here she is again saying no, and he's insisting more. And her, the red flag was going up. She didn't feel comfortable, but she didn't want to be completely rude, and opened up the door, and he pushed her in, and unfortunately was assaulted, and obviously a lot of bad things happened, and afterwards kind of talked about it and said, I knew early on that this guy was bad news. I knew I shouldn't have allowed him to do it. And so we just remind women, if somebody's coming up and talking, you could say the first time, "No, I'm not interested," the first time, but the second time someone insists or pushing things, you have no obligation to be friendly with them. It's like, no, get away from me right now. If you need to raise your voice, if you need, whatever you need to do, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with when somebody is continuously coming up in your personal space or bothering you that you should never feel that you can't be, tell the person to get the heck away from you. And so we just remind them of that, remind them how not to be a victim, and then just do some basic self-defense things. And we had two of them. We had a morning session and an afternoon session. Again, as soon as we put it out, filled up very quickly, and people are asking when the next one is. So Commander Lally has really been spearheading this. We get the instructors together, and some of our new officers are there, but the instructors are all female officers. So it's just a nice, it's a very nice program. I tell them it's free, but only kind of free, because I tell them, just remember when they go out and they hear all these things that are going on around the country, or people want to bash the police or say, police are this or police are that, you need to just speak up and say, what, I don't know about policing around the country because I live in Elgin, but I can tell you that the officers who work here in Elgin do it right, and they're professionals, and they care about their community. And so I said, that's really the only cost of it, is that you now know there were probably 15 police officers there. I said, any one of these guys or girls would come to you if you needed something. You can call them, you can email them, and that's just the way we do business. So they all agreed, and they always have nothing but praise for the instructors.
You had a walk and talk along State Street. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we did. We've been doing these walk and talks for about the past 5 years, where we just go out in the community, knock on doors, and ask people, "Hey, is there anything going on in your neighborhood that we can help you with?" kind of sets people aback at first, being like, wait, what's going on? Why are the police at my door? And we tell them, really, nothing's going on. But we also know that in a neighborhood, a lot of things are happening that people will just say, I don't really want to bother the police today. They probably got more important things to do. This is so minor. So we make it a point to say that, nothing is necessarily too minor. So we knock on their door and say, what's going on? What do you see? And many times it's things like, my neighbor parks his car across the sidewalk all the time. I would never call you on it, but since you're here, and I don't feel comfortable going and talking with them. So it's those types of things, very minor things, but those are the things that bother you every single day that really start to make you maybe not like your neighborhood or not like your neighbor or whatever. So we try to address some of the small problems. And this one, Kevin Senny, who's in charge of our traffic division, really came up with the idea, well, let's go along State Street and actually reward and thank the officer, thank the people that are out there doing it right. They're not on their cell phone. They're buckled up. The kids are in their safety, in their child seats and everything. So we went out all along State Street, which is one of our high traffic areas for crashes, and passed out these little safety cones. And just I was out there as well. It was nice to hear the officers and everyone basically just saying, "Hey, people were kind of stunned. Well, what are you walking up to?" We're basically saying, "Thank you for not being on your phone. Thank you for being belted up. If you need anything, make sure you call the police department." Some of them were actually trying to pull out dollars. Commander O'Shea was out there as well. I said, many people are trying to give me money. I said, no, that's the fire department's fill the boot. That was like the day or a week before where they're out there doing the fill the boot. And
last Friday, I think.
So
wasn't it? Yeah.
I think Dan made like $30, so it was pretty cool. Okay. But it was a nice time to be out there, and people were actually, like I said, very surprised. But our goal is to, like I said, have many, many positive interactions with people. Make sure they know if they need something, call the police. You have
your Chiefs meeting on Monday nights, right? And you had, that last one, and it was also in conjunction with an identity theft seminar put together by, Fifth Third Bank?
Yeah, Fifth Third came out. Yeah, Lieutenant Trost organized that. They came out. They wanted to talk with residents about how they can not become a victim of identity theft.
Now, right?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, and there are so many good points, that even the people in the audience were raising. Everyone's saying, Social Security is one of the best ways to get your identity theft taken. So why do we have to use our Social Security for everything? Over the phone, right. People want it on forums, and so they were talking to the bankers about this, and Fifth Third was very receptive with all the information. But it was only about a 45-minute class. Actually went a little long because there was a ton of information, and we moved from there. Some of them came. They normally come to my Chiefs meeting, and we actually then went over to have the Chiefs meeting, and we normally have it in our North Community Room, which holds maybe about 25 or 30, and the last one was standing room only, and so we're like, it might be close, and then sure enough, this one had too many people, so we had to move up to our training room, which held many, many more people, and we filled up the training room, and it was just a great night. We had Colby from 311 was there to talk about if any people had issues or success stories,
Colby
and talk about, Colby Basham, talk about the app. There's an app out there for Elgin 311, so if you come across a pothole, you come across some issue in your neighborhood, you can take a picture, you can send it to them, and it's just a great app. I encourage anybody who lives in Elgin or is in Elgin a lot to make sure they download the 311 app. And then also Vince from Code Enforcement was there. At our Chiefs meetings, we always kind of joke that a lot of the issues that are going on are really code issues, or people have, hey, there's this issue with overcrowding, or this street light isn't. There's just many things that aren't necessarily police in other places. And so we had them there, and he did a nice presentation, talk about all the things. Code Enforcement's really working on not only changing their image, but they call it like Code 2.0, where they're changing some of their tactics and what they're working on. So it was I think it was a 2-hour meeting, and it was just a lot of information. So it was a great Chiefs meeting. But I want to thank 311 and Code Enforcement for coming out, and then all the people that came out. It was great. We had age range from, I think we had 18 or 19-year-old up to 60 plus. So wide swath of the community. So it was a great Chiefs meeting.
You had posted, or your Facebook page had posted about a cook-off that you did at Sam's Club.
Yes.
About keeping your title.
Yeah, we kept the title.
Is it
owe it all to Commander Lally. Yes. We went out, and the fire department had a fundraiser for their fire corps.
Okay, that was the purpose.
Sam's Club. We've had a few of these before. I know I did it, I think, 2 years ago, where we did it with mostly just police. And then last year I was out of town, and Commander Lally and Chief Fahey both did this. Basically, you can buy hot dogs and burgers, and then you can kind of tip either the police department or the fire department. And last year Commander Lally won, and so she was not going to go down easy this year, so I showed up to help.
Wasn't it?
This year was we had a lot of people come out, so it was.
I like to think soft shots at the fire folk.
Assistant Chief Moroder was the one out there working hard on it, and he took it kind of hard. So if anybody sees Assistant Chief Moroder, make sure you give him a hug. Tell him, hey, there's always next year. But no, it was a great time. Raised a lot of money for the fire corps. The explorers from the fire department were out there, great kids, and it was just a nice event that was put on by the fire department and Sam's Club, and the police department was just lucky enough to go up there and be a part of it for a little while. So it was a lot of fun.
Pretty much out of time, but a couple things I do want to hit on.
Yeah.
I know Officer Eric Echeverria was recognized.
Reflejos.
Yeah. He's going to be on a bus again. A big face on there.
I think a plane. I think we're going to go with planes.
Nice.
So yeah, the bus, because they don't get around as much, and so he wants to go national now. He's tired.
On a helicopter or something.
Exactly. But it was it was a great award. He was I think one of the 25 most influential people in the community, and Reflejos identified them. They had a nice little ceremony during the week here this past week, and so it was just a great award for Eric and all the work that he's doing. So thanks to Reflejos and Eric for just always doing a great job.
iFest coming up, and roadside safety check.
Weekend iFest, guaranteed nice weather we're here, so because it's been rained out a few times, so does it look nice? Good. So it'll be a great time out there this Saturday. It's going to be all different types of food, entertainment, so encourage people to come on down to Festival Park tomorrow all afternoon and stop by iFest. The second thing you said was what?
The roadside safety check.
Roadside safety checks, yep, going to start up. So just remember, call for a car, and don't drive if you've been drinking too much.
And lastly, I know you were at a meeting, a CLIC meeting, which is...
Chiefs of large Illinois cities.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I threw a K on there. I think that's not right.
No, right.
So, what was the purpose of that meeting? Is it just kind of a lot of the larger cities get together to kind of brainstorm or share ideas? Yeah. Yeah,
a little bit of everything. The chiefs of all the large cities here in Illinois. So there's usually about 8 of us that get together. Rockford, Aurora, Peoria. And so we come together. We have a meeting about once every quarter-ish and talk about, some of this stuff is some new laws that are out there. There's that Police Reform Act that's out there. Talks about body cams, talk about a lot of things. So we talk about those things. We talk about just tactics that people are using. What are the crime trends that people have seen? And so we have this meeting, and it's a great meeting. This one was in Rockford, and just spent some time talking about what other cities are doing that they're having success with, and what are they seeing. So it's a great meeting. Actually opened my eyes as we were talking about things when we talk about shootings here and shots fired being up. Everybody pretty much saying the same thing. Shots fired are up, for everyone. The one thing that was nice to hear is as comparison with some of the numbers that were out there that, while one is too many, and I always make sure we say that, but comparatively we're doing very well here in Elgin. So it was, sometimes they leave those meetings saying, what we're doing, because you hear about, kind of like anything, you hear about other people's troubles or what they're working on, and believe me, we show up and sometimes have our stories about what's going on or certain crimes, and they leave feeling better. But yesterday it was a great meeting, and thank Rockford for hosting it. So it was a good time.
A lot of times, things that you do in terms of working with other communities and other cities aren't necessarily sister cities or nearby, and just kind of want to tease a little out there of a case maybe that you're going to be putting out a release on shortly, where you worked in conjunction with a Florida city.
Yep. Florida, a sad case, but a great investigation by one of our detectives, Detective Houghton, has really been working on it, and it went all the way down to Florida, and there's a press release or press conference that was held down in Florida, Polk County, and we'll put that video online. It's a long video. It's about a 15-minute, but it talks about just a crime that has occurred with hundreds and hundreds of charges against an individual who has ties to Elgin, and it was a child pornography case, and so it was work that did with between Florida and Elgin and a lot of people, but I know the sheriff down in Polk County gave a nice shout out to the Elgin detective for really taking this case, and it stemmed from a parent who sensed something wasn't right with their child, talked to a school counselor, who talked with the police, and in this case it seemed to have worked well in that everyone got together, coordinated, and worked to help to put somebody in jail who needed to be in jail. So maybe tune on to our Facebook page later on today, and you'll see a video for it, but it kind of explains it more than I can do right now. But just great work on a sad case, but those sad cases unfortunately happen far too often. So,
a lot of times there are no boundaries, right? I mean, so especially with technology today.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. I know we're out of time too, but just probably want to also been a tough week for law enforcement. A couple officers again killed in line of duty, and just just a reminder for everyone that this is a dangerous job, but these officers that are out there every day doing a great job, and I'm so proud of the officers here in Elgin who routinely just go out, do their job, do it well, stay safe, and thanks for the community for all their support with the things we're doing. So it's going to be a great weekend, and we'll be here next Friday again.
Thank you very much for coming in. Elgin's Chief of Police, Josh Svoboda, joined us on Friday with the Fuzz. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great weekend.
You're listening to AM 1410, WRMN.
In Elgin.